Welcome to another edition of From the Front Lines, where we discuss both the day-to-day and one-of-a-kind issues facing real estate managers. And welcome to our final episode of the year. Before we dive in, we'd love your feedback to help us make this podcast even better for you. We've created a short survey, and your input will help guide us. The link to the survey is in the episode description, and it will be open until January 16th. Please take a few moments to share your thoughts. We really appreciate it. In this episode, Ashkán Zandieh from CRETI, the Center for Real Estate Technology and Innovation, joins us to explore how investor-led operations-first proptech is driving measurable NOI, as well as about where capital is flowing, electrification, fintech, infrastructure, and applied AI, and the KPIs and guardrails property managers need to evaluate real ROI. To learn more about CRETI, visit creti.org. Welcome to the podcast, Ash.
Thanks for having me, Aaron. How's everything?
Oh, everything's good. Thank you. All right, and our first question, where is venture capital actually flowing in proptech, and why should property managers care?
So I think that's a really great question to kind of start with, because the industry has really moved along over the past 10 years. And we had a bump in the road last year, and I think this year is really proving out to be a monumental year for proptech. And three trends really it kind of stood out. One is the electrification of assets across commercial and residential, and just energy in of itself. Second trend was operating systems for owner managers and moving from nice to haves to need to haves, and especially around financial plumbing. And I'll kind of double click on that in a minute. And the third one is AI, that eliminates variance, not just headcount. And you heard that a lot in with the advent of AI over the past 2 years. The narrative is that it's a job killer. The reality is it is not a job killer, and we're identifying where adoption is taking place and where the real value is being created for the industry.
Sounds great. And what operational KPIs should we use to evaluate new tech in 2026 budgets?
So that's a great question, and kind of double clicking on the operating system for owner managers. The industry is moving off of nice to haves to need to have, and especially around financial plumbing and infrastructure plumbing. And what I mean by that is not like water sewer plumbing. I'm talking about, how finances and compliance is being streamlined. So from an owner and operator perspective, software is being judged on its ability to touch cash, codify compliance, and ultimately create lender grade, data trails or data rails for that matter. And what that really means is, how am I ingesting information and how is software ingesting information, and how am I able to receive and view this information? And so the strongest platforms that are now live at the intersection of payments, receivables, vendor pay, and financial reporting, and they're integrated directly with the property accounting and banking platforms. So and this is why I think purpose-built operating systems for owners, landlords, managers, and community managers are really compounding. They lower, data that's outstanding, increase online collection, and reduce payment, disputes, and ultimately give the manager the ability to audit, have audit-ready exports that travel cleanly from, to lenders, to LPs, to auditors, and what have you. So what that means ultimately at a practical level, I think, is that products that ship with bank feed connectivity, general ledger mapping, and out-of-the-box integration into Yardi, RealPage, QuickBooks, and treasury systems are clearing procurement, while these generic platforms and portals and disconnected pointed tools are stalling. So this kind of dovetails into another point, is that they hear a lot in technology and innovation, is that adoption is low. The reality is adoption is not low. The reality is that the tech is completely disconnected and disjointed from the practicality of operations. And so again, the operating system that we are seeing and the KPIs that we are seeing are, does this increase my cash flow? Does this compress expenses? And does it help solve an immediate and long-standing need within my company?
Great, that makes sense. And how should we think about electrification and home energy in multifamily and office portfolios?
So electrification is probably the biggest trend, not just within prop tech or real estate. Is a national trend that we're seeing. Electrification has shifted from, typical electrification stuff we always heard about was like solar and, like hard, tangible like items that you would have to actually install. But electrification has shifted from hardware like novelty to basically industrialized like logistics. And what I mean by that is the winners are aggregating supply, financing, and installation through a single commercial workflow and a single customer promise. So there are I'll use residential as a good example. You're seeing companies like a company called Span, which creates electrical boxes. Historically, the way you would see your energy spend is you would receive a bill from your utility company at the end of the month. With these new companies that are coming out, first of all, they are already institutional grade companies because they have to be, because they are in the what we call prop tech adjacent sector, and like assurance falls in that category, electricity and others. So not only are they institutional grade ready, but on top of that, you are in real time able to see your energy consumption, and you are able to make the necessary changes based on real-time information that's being provided to you. And then it goes way beyond just like, oh, I have a dashboard in front of me that spits out data. Dashboards are honestly nice to have at this point. It's kind of like at this point, it's mandatory, not even nice, it's just mandatory. It goes far beyond that. So you have a electrical box that's connected via software, that's connected to your home, that's able to tell you your energy usage in real time, so you don't have to make guesses at the end of the month and pay a bill that you may or may not have been surprised with. So you're starting to see that kind of play out. But the category, and that's in residential, and you're starting to see things play out in commercial as well, especially in property operations. In property operations, it's actually even cleaner, because the notion of electricity and decarb really kind of play off of one another. But in the US specifically, decarb for the sake of decarbonization, unless your state or city mandates it, it is really tied directly to your cost compression or income appreciation. So what I mean by that is you're seeing category leaders pair resident like these backup battery and flexible electricity panels with underwriting that moves customer acquisition from like one-time sales to durable account relationships. And what I mean by that, kind of double click on that, is very simple. Me as a manager need to know what the cost of electricity is going to be for my residents and or my community. During the summer months, your electricity is going to spike. During the winter months, your electricity is going to spike, and you have spring and fall that's kind of in between. If I'm able to see in real time how my community is ingesting electricity, and I can make real-time active decisions on how to compress expenses and or appreciate the income for that community based on the community's electrical needs. So at a practical level, energy platforms, kind of double click and kind of close the loop on this in terms of prop tech, but at a practical level, energy platforms that own the route to market, the financing rails, and the lifetime service relationships are compressing customer payback periods and ultimately improving attachment rates across batteries, solar, load control, you name it, like creating grid support value streams that did not exist in prior cycles. Take any utility company, it is a one-to-one relationship. You use, you pay. Very simple. It has now shifted from now that I have access to all this information on how electricity is being used and alternative sources of energy, how can I mitigate costs to increase the financial performance of my community?
Sounds great. And AI is everywhere. Where is it delivering reliable ROI for property managers today?
Yeah. So AI eliminates variance. And what I mean by that, the variability, first of all, AI for the sake of AI is over. For the past 2 years, we've heard that AI is a job killer. That's proven not to be true. We're seeing managers, use AI. For God's sakes, there was the IRM study that we released on AI, and we're seeing managers use AI, at least the LLM models, to help with the decision-making process. And you're seeing it at a local level, at a regional level, and also at a national level or at a corporate level amongst managers. The reality of AI adoption in our industry is consolidating around use cases that reduce costs and schedule drift to improve underwriting precision and accelerate compliance in the industry. You saw it in construction with computer vision and document integration. You're starting to see it in housing. With leases, you're starting to see that with audits that are running. So AI for the sake of AI is absolutely over. Managers are becoming very knowledgeable on what's real and what's fake. And ultimately, we're starting to see AI systems that produce measurable reduction in rework, fewer change orders, and faster cycle time from assessment to remediation of like winning budgets, for example. So you're starting to see that kind of play out in our industry. And the key design partner is AI plus the profession. And what I mean by that is AI plus legal, AI plus management, AI plus insert practitioner, where the output is not a chat response. It is evidence that survives just an audit. The pattern yields sticky enterprise contracts, creates like repeatable procurement narratives, and really supports defensible pricing for platforms that really ultimately continue to learn from portfolios at scale.
Okay, makes sense. And what contracting and vendor risk guardrails should we use as we adopt more fintech and AI tools?
Yeah, so I'd begin asking, if I'm a manager and a prop tech company that says their AI is asking questions, I think the first thing I would ask is, do you do pilots? And if they do not do pilots, I would absolutely not engage with that company. You also want to be able to understand the types of AI they're using, and ultimately who controls that data. And so the big one ultimately is, can I pilot the company? How long are the pilots? Anything over 6 months is a no-fly zone for managers. 3 to 6 months is quite enough. And before even doing anything, test across a small subset, maybe even just one community at first and if it works well, scale across another community and slowly integrate the technology that works. And that ultimately removes or eliminates burden from your on-site team to your regional teams to your asset management teams. So ultimately, you're trying to slowly drive the car to 100 versus going 0 to 100 in 60 seconds. So avoid that at all costs. I've seen a lot of companies get burned that way, and they mess it up pretty badly. I would start very slow, start with one community, scale from that one community. If it works well, great. If it doesn't work, then give the feedback to this prop tech company that didn't work, and we're not going to continue. And also, if there are other competitors out there, you should and absolutely should run multiple pilots at the same time. So if there's two competitors in market, run the same pilot for both companies on the same community at the same time, and see which one yields a better result for you.
Okay, great. Thanks for joining us, Ash.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening to this episode and for being a part of our community this year. Don't forget to fill out our podcast survey. The link is in the episode description, and it's open until January 16th. Your feedback helps us improve and bring you the content you want. We'd love to hear from you. Visit irum.org for more knowledge to take on real estate management's most dynamic challenges. That's www.irem.org.